So for those of you who have access to the HIDE-Net website, should be familiar with this image right here, where this is under the Reports tab, where it shows you your verification report, and that's a PDF that's generated every time the data file is submitted. And so it used to have about 8 pages, now it has about 14 pages, so it kind of gives you an overview of your discharges and then doing a comparison with the previous year. So as you can see there, you'll see 2017, 2018, the discharges, your charges, for inpatient and outpatient procedures, and the red numbers are usually a deviation. It might be slight, so you might have to just look at it and see if it fits into what your actual discharge numbers were. But if it is a big margin, usually I'll contact you if I see it, but we do recommend that you look at that and see, why the data is the volume is either too high or too low. And so another page separates it by patient type, and so that's where you look at your inpatient, swing bed, and then for the outpatient, it'll be ambulatory, surgery, emergency room, and others. So you just look at your distribution compared to previous years and make corrections as needed. And if you have any questions or want to see anything deeper, you can always contact me, and we can work with Heidi to provide you with like a specialized report or something if you want to see what's going on behind all this. Here, another one by primary payer, and that's for inpatient and outpatient as well. And you can kind of glance and look at the distribution, look at your numbers for each month for 2 years. Same thing here. And this is for outpatient, yeah. And I'd like to, again, just make sure that the people who are reviewing and submitting the data familiarize themselves with this report, because it's really helpful in finding major errors, and then you find them. I guess since we're submitting monthly, the sooner you find them, the better, because then you can just go in there, change it before the next release, and your data will be clean and valid, for the database. This is towards the end where it separates it by admit type, which is if it was an emergency, a newborn, trauma, point of origin, where they came from, and then, of course, demographics. So you have the patient's gender, the distribution of that.
And Monday night I noticed.
And then the patient's disposition, which is where they're going to go to after they get discharged, where they're going. So most people go home, and then you have other categories there. And again, another demographic, the patient's race and ethnicity, I think, is also included in that. And they've added a few more pages for frequency for the top 250 zip codes for inpatient, so basically where the patient is coming from. That's something that people like to see, just to, I guess, to see where their population of patients is coming from, what zip code, what county. And here they have it by DRGs. For those of you who like to see that too, when you do a more thorough review, and then attending physicians, which you'll see the physician name. We just didn't put it in there right now, but for your particular facility, you'll see the name. And this is for outpatient. And so this is another report. This is the edit summary report, which you'll receive, the data submitters will receive every time you submit your data file, and you'll get it in your email, and I'll get a copy of it too. And this one shows you your fatal and warning errors. And of course, the threshold is 3%. So once that percentage goes up past 3%, it'll be in red, and usually I'll contact you to see if you can make corrections, and then you can go to the edit detail report, where you'll be able to see the patient's information, the medical record number, so that you can go into the chart and make the correction first in your system, and then you would extract a new file, delete the old one in HIDE, and upload a new file. And so this is another example of how many fatal errors there are. So this one is at 0.22%, so it's well below the threshold, so it's a good, clean report. And again, the edit detail report, so this is what the second page would look like in the edit detail report, showing you the patient's information, birth date, so that you can find it easily in your facility system and make the changes.